Okay, so I've done my meditation. I stayed up a little bit later last night and I read 50 pages of the third book in the Mickey Bolitar series. It's so easy. It's such an easy read. It's just like this little kid book. They're mid-grade fiction. So I have several books which I'm going to try to work on today. I have David Lynch's biography, which I'm about 43% through today, which is Room to Dream. I have the Mickey Bolitar series found, which I'm going to work on today. I have Meditations, which I'm going to work on today. And I have, am I going to work on this today? I don't know. I'm going to try start on I'm gonna try and read Blue Horses. I don't know. Should I start reading another poetry book? Um, they're quick reads. There's like a mental block of like trying to read another poetry book though. Because I was like, oh, I want to read Dreamwork again, and I started reading Dreamwork again, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of bored with this though. So yeah. So let's go. So I got up to do my journaling and I couldn't help myself, but I read Blue Horses and it was so good. It was so good. I devour her poetry. She's such a good writer and she's so inspiring. Her poetry changes with each book. I didn't realize that she didn't win the Pulitzer Prize for Dreamwork. She won it for American Primitive, which is a book I have not read yet. So I might have to read that one. But yeah, she's yeah. But Blue Horses is an ekphrastic poetry that she wrote about this work by Franz Marc. So that's very interesting that she did ekphrastic poetry as well. So interesting. I enjoyed it. I had just done something in my journal that I hadn't done in a while, which was because I felt like I had been like really fuzzy on my memory. And that was like create like a timeline of from like high school to now to like major moments in my history. And for me, that's like 20 years of like memories of like major life events. So that may not be significant to you, but that's like significant to me of like major things that happened and like major, you know, like reconstructing my memory. Of just like, this is the big thing that happened this year, or like these are things that I went through, and just like making sure that I knew like this is what happened this year, this is what happened this year, and just making sure that like I kind of have them down in my memory of like this is what I was doing this year, and like kind of like because it gets real fuzzy about what year I was doing what. Stop. So it's interesting that I was journaling about it again. Because you think about like where you were and what you were doing. People were like talking about like what they were doing back in like 2013 and stuff. And I was like, what was I doing that year? And that's the year I had broken up with my boyfriend and I was moving to Grand Canyon. And so like I wasn't really participating in culture at that point. I was kind of like exiting mainstream culture and like moving out to like the middle of nowhere, no cell phone. I had like a flip phone, I think, at that point. Um, but like I didn't even have like a smartphone or anything because I was like kind of like shucking off mainstream culture and like living in the middle of nowhere and kind of going back to like, you know, um, you know, enjoying nature and kind of uh, writing again and just like living in bliss and just like enjoying Mother Nature. And so like people talk about like going to the club and doing all that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's not what I was doing at all in 2013. So like I see all these memes of like, what were you doing in 2013? What were you doing in 2014? Or like, what were you doing in 2011? I was working in 2011, like hardcore, and I was broke all the time. So like, I wasn't going to the club or anything like that. Like that, I was like struggling, and like I was struggling with severe depression in 2011. So like, I see all these memes that are like, what were you doing back then? And it's like, I was living in podunk nowhere. So it's really funny seeing these memes of like, yeah, it's really funny to me. So I read a little bit more of this book, Found, and I got to about page 100, so I'm about a third of the way through. It's about 300 pages. I'm just cruising through it, just hanging out. I thought I would take a break from it and do something else, maybe do some work or something. Um, but I'm just hanging out in bed today. We're just hanging out in bed doing it, hopping and bopping, just hanging out. Um, it's a quick read, but we're having fun. Uh, this book is more interesting. It's probably the most like interesting book of all of them, because it's like a culmination of everything that's been happening in the last two books. Because in the last book, his friend Spoon got shot, and so now in this book he's paralyzed, and so there's like the fallout of all of that. In the last book, we found out some information about Ema, and in this book, there's some like drama with Ema and like about somebody who she's attached to. So it's all about like Ema's story. It's kind of like a storyline surrounded by Ema. And so like all these like tendrils of storylines that have been like building the last two books are like now kind of like all culminating together. It's fun. I like it. It's great. I finished typing up another notebook. I have so many more to type up. But I got some work done today. I'm gonna try read some more, I think. Do I have a pen? There might be a pen somewhere. But I'm gonna switch books, I think. Because I was reading Mickey Bolitar, but I'm gonna read Meditations, I think, for a little while. So we're gonna do that. All right. So I fell asleep for a while. I was reading my book for a bit, Beachfront Property. I forgot what some of my poetry was like. So the book is so long that I forgot what some of my poems were like. So it was like rediscovering my own poetry. It was such a weird experience because I was like, I wrote that? That's so bizarre. So I was like reading some of my poems and I was like, wow, I'm such a good writer. And I was like, that's so weird. I forgot that I wrote that. It was such a surreal experience, like because it's been over like a year since I wrote. And so, it's been several months since I even looked at it. So like it's sort of like rediscovering some of those things that I wrote. But wow, it's such a good book. I really love it. I really love my book. I really enjoy it. So yeah. Wow, I only read like 10 pages of meditations. It's really hard to get through. It's very dense. All right. What am I reading now? Let's start reading some of the biography. I'll try that. So I just read the chapter where David Lynch talks about like Twin Peaks. It's very interesting because they kind of just like glaze over like the show. That he wrote kind of like the pilot episode, but then like he goes off and he's doing like all these other projects like commercials, and like he does like a live show with Julie Cruz and Angela Badalamenti. So he's kind of like not really invested in the show. So then by the time like he comes back to do like the second season and it's like really immensely popular, he's kind of like divested from the show. And so it's sort of become something that's like this wildly popular show, but he's not really like invested in. And so he gets famous from the show, but he's like not really like part of. So it's very interesting that he like talks about it like that, because it's sort of like, this is a thing that he's like really well known for. I would say that like Twin Peaks is kind of like the thing that people talk about as like the thing that he's like well known for, like that. And like, I would say like Mulholland Drive are like the two biggest things that he's like really well known for. And so like the fact of the matter is like, it's like that Mulholland Drive, I guess, like Blue Velvet, or like maybe he's like known for that one too, but like the fact is like the thing that he's like known for is like, because I still get people like talking about Twin Peaks, and maybe it's because he's just the most recent thing he's done is like made season 3, but what's interesting is the way that they talk about like that he was so divested from the show originally. Like he wasn't part of most of the show. Like he did like a couple episodes, and then like he just kind of disappeared, and then like he showed up to try to like save the show from like getting canceled, but he wasn't really part of most of the creation of the show at all. So that's very interesting. Like you think that like, he was like this big part of it, and then like he just had very little to do with it. So that's very fascinating. All right. So now what? Where do I go from here? I was just looking around and I saw this like YouTuber that was like, oh, I've got Oreo in my teeth. I saw this YouTuber that was like, oh, here's a method to water marble your nail polish and try water marbling. And I tried it and it looks terrible. Look at this. This looks like, I don't know. But like it like stained my hands. And like it kind of, when I tried to wash my hands, it like rubbed off some of the nail polish, but like I had to like touch it up with like a brush, but like this looks bad. But I tried to like water marble my nails, and I was like, this, because what you do is you pour the nail polish onto the water, and then you like dip your nail in it. It looks bad. I was like, I could do that. I can do that. I can do that. No, I can't. She has these like perfectly coiffed, like perfectly marbled nails. Yeah. Child's play. I look like a kindergartner drew on my nails. They make it seem like it's so easy. It is not easy. It is not easy. She has these like expensive nail polishes. I have like grocery store nail polish. Like results may vary. Results may vary. Absolutely. I need to brush my teeth. I've got Oreo in my teeth. That's hang on a sec. Anyway, I guess that's why we test things out. You know, why we try them. I'm gonna try them again, I suppose. Maybe I'll get different nail polish or whatever. I feel like I can do this. It just takes practice. Takes practice. I know I can do this. I'm gonna get so good at water marbling my nails. I'm gonna have the coolest water marbled nails. Ooh. They're not terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible. Look at that. Look at that. They're like horror nails. This side. No, they're bad. They're just bad. They're just bad. They're not so bad when you back up a little. They're bad when you come up close though. Like they're bad. I don't know. I'm going to have to do something with them. I don't know. They look bad. I don't even know what I was going for with them. They've got streaks of something in them. I tried touching them up. They just look bad. They just look bad. So I started reading this book, Pandora. It's about a 21-year-old girl whose parents were classic art dealers, antiquarian dealers, and they had died. This takes place in 1799. Her parents had died, and so she is living with her uncle, who is a cad. He sells phony antiques, basically, and has run the business into the ground. And so she is just trying to survive, because she does not have really any good prospects right now. There's a side story of another character. I don't know his name. Edward, I think his name is. He is poor, and he is trying to study something about a tomb that has an inscription about Arcadia, and he's trying to find information about that, and he's being directed to Pandora for information from a mysterious old man with blue eyes. Who is this? He did not ask his name. Which mysterious stranger is mysterious. We're going to see this character again, apparently. But I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. As 50 pages took forever to get through, and there was just like a lot of stuff happening in 50 pages. And it's a 400-page novel. So, yeah. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I have many choices of books that I could be reading. Every time I read Meditations, I fall asleep. So I will not be reading Meditations. I'm thinking about reading Found. So we'll go from there. So I am at 157 in Found out of like 320 something. So I'm like about halfway. The bad guy showed up and he was about to fight him when the police showed up at Bat Lady's house. And like a whole situation happened and like they were running after him and there was like a whole situation and like he almost got arrested again. Why does he always almost get arrested? There's all this situation and then like he got out of it again. But like, yeah. It's getting juicy. I don't know where I'm going from here though. I'm reading a lot of books. I'm getting really far in that. Where do I want to go from here? Do I want to read more David Lynch's biography? I kind of do. All right. I just read another chapter of Room to Dream, David Lynch's biography, about how he made Wild at Heart, and how he won the Palme d'Or for that movie. I think that Wild at Heart is probably my favorite Lynch film, just because it's about love. And it's just a beautiful movie. There's just so much going on in that movie, and it's very hopeful in a lot of ways. That you don't see in a lot of his movies. So, I don't know. I just really like it. Although I haven't seen The Straight Story. And I heard that's pretty hopeful. I'm sleepy. But I want to keep reading. I've read a lot today. What else should I read? Should I read any more tonight? I've read quite a bit. I might just stop for now. I think I've done good today. Alright, good night. I have to take my meds and go